What's up everyone, I'm Sahil and I'm a self-taught product designer. I'm here to share my journey on YouTube from how I started from a computer science background and got into design and learned all of it by my own, and how someone like you can also follow the same approach and learn what is UX design, interaction design, all of that, and get started into this career. I'm so happy to see this finally go live. It's been almost a year I've been planning something like this, so I could share my knowledge and whatever I have learned so far in the field with all of you out there to help you become a great UX designer. So let's kickstart this journey to becoming an awesome designer and helping all the people out there by creating amazing products that people love. This is 2019 and people need amazing product designers, UX designers, interaction designers like you more than ever. There's a need for products, for problems to be solved and whatnot. With that being said, today's video is going to be about product design or UX design. What exactly is it? What does it mean? What do product designers do or UX designers do? And what is there in it for all of you out there? So UX stands for user experience, which simply put means your experience, the user's experience with everything that's out there. Everything in the form of a digital or a physical product that exists in this world. It can be something as simple as a mobile app that all of us use these days to make the most out of a day and to get really productive. Or it could be something like a physical product, like an alarm clock, or maybe like a switch button, something as simple as that, or maybe a door handle. The way you handle something like a camera, the way you handle something like a mobile phone, how do you set the time on an alarm clock? That is what defines how your user experience with that product is going to be. In the case of digital products, that could be apps. How do you update your status on Facebook? Or how do you write tweets on Twitter? Now, if it's easy enough, people find the products to be user-friendly. People find the products to be easy to use. If it's difficult, people either abandon those products. People will comment about how difficult it is to use those products. And that is where UX designers or product designers step in. At the base of user experience, there are 4 key things. Number 1 is empathy. You need to empathize. As a great UX designer, if you want to create something that solves the problems of users, you first need to understand what is the actual problem that your users are facing. Why are they facing it? And you need to step into their shoes, which can kind of get difficult, and the industry as it throws it, it's not really easy, or people cannot really empathize. But you can at least try and understand their problem as deep as you can, and then maybe come up with a solution that might help them solve their problem, or at least think through the way that they think and they approach that problem. And that will give you a better way to solve and a better perspective from the user to understand that problem to the very core of it. The second one is going to be usability. And this is one of the key aspects of user experience. This is one of the core principles of user experience. You need to understand and swear by usability. Every time you make a product, you have to make sure that it's usable. Otherwise, it fails the purpose. Imagine a spoon. If you make it too fancy, it will not be usable, because then people will be using it for showcasing and people will be using it as a piece of art. But if it's not usable, people won't be able to use it. The other example could be as simple as the taps that you see in washrooms every day. With an array of technology that's coming in taps, people are making taps that have sensors in them and all sorts of dials and things. And sometimes it's really difficult to figure out the usability or how a tap works. You need to understand how to make the product fit for the market and for the target audience, and make sure that it's usable and that people understand how is it that is going to be used. Now, the third thing is interactions. And interaction defines how your product is going to be interacted with in the real world. When you make something, when you design a solution, you generally design it in a closed space. But you need to understand the user might be interacting with it in a different form of landscape, in a different form of setting. And you've got to make sure the interactions from one stage of a product to the other stage, or let's say from one page of the app to the other page, is smooth. When you tap on a button, it should show some form of feedback. That's what interaction means. When you open a door or when you lock a door, it has the sound of click, which tells you that your action has completed, or that something that you're trying to do is been done. So the interaction is very important in great products, and a great interaction is what defines the basic of a great product. The fourth and the last one is accessibility, and this is one of the more important things. These days, people are constantly forgetting about accessibility, and they try and make designs as beautiful as they can, but they don't account for accessibility. When you make a product, you have to make sure that it's accessible to all the peoples out there. When you design, you've got to consider your target audience. Now, you might be designing a solution that you think is great, it's beautiful, and it's doing all the things that you wanted it to do. But when you have to design a product, you've got to consider all the kind of people that are out there. Now, there are people who are colorblind, who have problems reading text that is too small, people who have difficulty in figuring out text that is light in color because the contrast is not there. So you've got to make your product accessible to all of the users out there. It's not just the young people that you design your products for. So you've got to understand all of this. There are plugins out there that help you understand if there's any problem and how to adhere by all the accessibility standards. That is one of the things you should keep in mind while designing an amazing product. Now, at the very base of UX is solving problems. It might be as simple as me going to office every single day. I have a lot of time in my hand, but then because I'm driving, I cannot really read something. So there's podcasts app for me in which I can just listen to whatever I want, and that solves my problem. And I can use my time to do something that's more productive. Or it could be something as simple as you go to another place and then you need to figure out the directions. So those directions are basically something that helps you solve a problem, which is navigation. And that is what a user experience is. Alright, now it's time for questions. Just a week back, I posted some questions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to sort of know what problems do you guys face, what questions you guys have around starting UX and maybe starting a career in it, or maybe something that you just feel in general. I got some awesome response from all of you out there, and I have a couple of questions that I'll be taking in this video and maybe some in the videos that are following. The first question comes from UX designer Kriti from Instagram, and she's asking us how to know which laws to be applied while designing a product and where to apply them. Now Kriti, it's really simple. You don't have to wait to apply a law in a different scenario. UX laws are something that you've got to keep in mind while designing products in general. All you need to understand is these laws are supposed to help you designing different products, and this is not something that you have to remember while and you have to bring back while designing a product or designing a particular thing on, let's say, a page. For example, let's talk about one of these laws. Let's say Hicks law, for example. Hicks law states that the time it takes to make a decision increases as the number of options increases. Now that's pretty much simple. Imagine a page has 4 different buttons or 4 to 5 different forms, and then you have to go through the choice of, let's say, selecting one of the buttons, which one is it that you want to tap, or maybe even if there are different fields in a form, then you have to go through all of them, and they present a lot of options. And when those numbers of options keep increasing, the time you have to spend on them increases, or the time that you might have to take a choice increases. For example, in real life, you go out in a mall and then you see 4 different types of clothes. Now, it's going to take you X amount of time to select from them. But then if those 4 different clothes become 50 different clothes, then it's going to take you even more time to decide which one should you be picking. So something like Hicks law, which simply states that you need to decrease the number of options that a user has to go through to make an option, is something that you should just keep in mind while designing an interface. So the next time, maybe when you're doing a login screen and then you're giving them options to, for example, let's say log in through Instagram and then maybe Twitter, Facebook, Google, there's 5 or 10 different options that you could probably do. But the least number of options that you give them, it'll be easier for user to decide, and also your overall page will look a little bit more cleaner when it comes to interaction. So that's, I think, how you should be approaching these different laws. You should just keep them in mind while designing different types of interfaces, and it is something that should be in the back of your mind and not something that you constantly have to bring about and try and think in this way. The second question comes from Hello Manav from Instagram as well. He's asking us the difference between the roles of a UX designer and a product designer. Manav, I think it's pretty simple, and at the same time it's a very complicated question because it hugely depends on the company and the person who's writing the job description. Now, in a lot of cases, UX designer might actually mean a person who's doing all of the user experience process, which technically involves UI, UX, or UX, when I say UX, I mean flows, and then it's got user research, it's got visual design, interaction, and then finally handing it off to the developer. That is supposed to be the total user experience process. Now, a UX designer in a lot of companies is similar to a product designer, a person who has to go through the information, get all the data from the product managers or from the product team directly, and then try and analyze the problem, figure out the different patterns in that problem is coming up, and then maybe do some market research and try to understand the problem deeper, come up with solutions, different types of solutions, and then test out which one works best, and then finally handing it off to the developer. And when it gets sort of developed, and then you test and see if it fits the market needs and if it solves the problems of the user. So it completely depends on the different types of companies. So the next time you're trying to apply for a company, I would suggest the best thing to do is probably, reach out to the HR or to the team to understand what exactly do they mean by, let's say, a product design role or a UX role. For example, in my company, a UX designer is someone who does user research, visual design, UX, and then he does the interactions as well sometimes. So it's completely based on different companies and different types of roles. That's all I would say about it. And that's all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll make sure I put all the links that are valid to this video, valid to you learning about UX design, in the description below, so it helps you understand even more. There'll be some Medium articles and some articles throughout the web, and that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do come back again, subscribe to the video. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. All the links to all my social media channels will be in the description below and probably somewhere in the frame. You can reach out to me, ask whatever questions you have on user experience, on product design, and on technology in general. I would love to share my experience and my views on it. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Ciao.